Hello, my name is Vincent Gallegos, and I'll be recording my autobiographical presentation for Introduction to Chicana and Chicano Studies. A little bit about me. I was born in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico at the age of 3 and was raised here. My ethnic background consists mostly of Hispanic blood, but I also have some Sioux, Indian blood, and other nationalities, I'm sure. Growing up, some of the relatives that have had the biggest impact in my life and who I can relate to this course, my parents, my grandfather, and great grandparents. I just completed my first college semester and it went well. My grandfather's name was Robert Michael Angelo Sanchez. He was my mother's dad. He grew up in Santa Fe, New Mexico. He was the oldest of 5 children and helped look after and raise his 4 younger siblings. My grandpa started working at a young age and learned how to landscape and plaster. He started drinking at a very young age, which was pretty common in his hometown and extended family. It wasn't until he became a grandfather that he was able to kick alcoholism. He worked really hard to stay sober. My grandpa would always say that being a grandfather was the best job in the world. He helped my parents with us kids so that they could finish college or whenever they had to work late. He sometimes picked us up from school or helped with projects around our house. As an adult, he owned in on his landscaping skills and made a living by being a landscaper. When he moved to Albuquerque, he began building a clientele and was able to make a living. My grandfather considered himself to be Chicano, was proud of that, and he was a very good man. My great-grandmother's name was Mary Alice Sanchez. She was born and raised in Santa Fe, New Mexico, to a blind mother. Her father used to pick up most jobs in California and was rarely around, so they both passed away well before I was born. My great-grandmother, Mary Alice's mom, which is my great-great-grandmother, known as Grandma Sanchez, spoke zero English. This was a problem to my mom's generation, who spoke no Spanish. My grandpa was bilingual. But by my mom's generation, Spanish was no longer taught. Her and her cousins joked that they only knew bad words, so my mom could not carry on a full conversation with her great-grandmother. It had to be translated. My great-great-grandfather built a small 1-bedroom adobe house with his own hands that her and her 3 siblings grew up in. My grandmother helped raise her siblings, then various nieces and nephews. She was the single mother to her 5 children and then adopted 3 of my cousins, her granddaughters, when her children were grown. My grandma was a sergeant in the U.S. Marines, which was a big deal for her times. She got pregnant with my grandpa and was honorably discharged. During those times, being a pregnant woman was like a disability. You could not stay active duty in the services while pregnant. My grandma was the matriarch of our family. Her house was a go-to for all of us, and without question, she hosted every single holiday and did all the cooking. My great-grandparents on my dad's side are Ray and Josie Gallegos. They have ran Josie's Casa de Comida for 53 years. In 2000, my grandma and my grandpa shut the front door to the full restaurant but kept the back door open for a bustling catering business. They didn't spend a penny on advertising, but they were able to draw crowds of people with their savory and affordable food. It was less than $2 for a plate. At the restaurant's peak, my grandma and 17 employees would serve 150 lunch guests between 11 and 4. My grandma is known for many dishes, including her chili rellenos. She stuffs the chili rellenos herself and hand makes her own tamales. She could make up to 500 dozen around Christmas time. A few years ago, they had to retire making tamales due to arthritis and the toll it takes on her fingers and hands. My grandma would work 14 hours a day to keep the food coming. She would start cooking for the day at 5 a.m. every day. Everything she served was homemade. They are very influential to me. They have taught me what it is truly to take pride in what you do and be a hard worker. My parents are Chris and Serena Gallegos. They were both born and raised in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Both of my parents were the first in their families to attend college. My mom grew up with more of a hardship. Her family was very poor and she grew up most of her life in the projects. Her mom only worked a part-time waitressing job and her dad wasn't always a full-time employee, depending on the season. My mom quickly realized she wanted a better life for herself and her future family and took the initiative to seek a college degree. She was the first in her entire family to obtain a degree. She has an undergraduate degree in electronic engineering and master's in business administration. My dad has a degree in civil engineering from UNM. They both instill how important getting a degree is to make a good living. In conclusion, myself and my family mimic many of the readings throughout this course. We fit many of the stereotypes and experiences the authors have encountered. I think the further back in history you go, the more you see the harder it was for Chicanos and Chicanas in civilization. Some of the later readings remind me of stories I hear my family tell, although I wasn't around to see or experience that. I hope the trend continues for our culture to overcome history repeating itself. Watching my parents having determination to live a good life gives me hope that many Hispanics might achieve the same goals. In my grandparents and great-grandparents, upbringing college wasn't even a discussion. But for me and my siblings, not going to college isn't even an option. Chicanos and Chicanas have come a long way, but still have more ahead. I am lucky enough to have family that has set great examples for me. I know in some people's family, they might not have the same opportunities if their family is illegal immigrants. What is going on currently with DACA and the Trump administration is causing a lot of fear for many immigrants, including some of my family's friends and extended family. I couldn't imagine living in that kind of fear and just trying to make a living, but because you weren't born here, you don't have the same rights. I didn't know much about the Chicana and Chicano movement until I took this course. It's a bit amazing to me, although things have changed and got a lot better through this generation, they really haven't changed enough to make a difference. Thank you.